We'll just start chatting about the Hawg. What's up, guys? I'm Tyler. I'm here with Tyson Buhr and his 1972 Shovelhead. Tyson and I became homies like a year ago. He was riding from Phoenix to come hang out with us in LA, and he broke down outside of Palm Springs, and the homies went and picked him up. Yeah, he's from Canada, from Saskatchewan.
You got it, yeah.
And can build really cool motorcycles and fall asleep pretty much anywhere. Did you have the whole bike planned out?
Yeah, I kind of got like really bad fever for a long bike, and then I forget exactly how it all happened. I had bought this bike as like a complete bike, like basically just the motor and tranny that are in it now in this frame, but the frame was different. I don't remember if I bought it first and then I got a Springer from Eric, if I got a Springer first. But anyway, I ended up being able to get a Springer from my homie Eric, so then that sort of kicked it off. Yeah, and then I started collecting parts when that happened.
What, you did like everything yourself pretty much, right?
Everything except I didn't build the motor and tranny, and Pat Boyles painted the Wizard on the tank. But other than that, I did everything. Yeah.
Okay, what was like the most challenging part and what was the most fun part?
That's a good question, dude. I think frame is probably the most challenging. This is like the first frame I've built that I've ran before.
Did you have a jig?
Yeah, I borrowed a jig. It was funny because the jig was too short, so I couldn't get the neck in it. So I had to like extend the neck thing and like basically I ended up pretty much eyeballing the neck, but it rides straight. I got it straight.
So what's kind of the process of raking it? Because you also pulled it up a bunch.
Yeah, basically what I did was cut the down tubes and then I heated up the backbone and bent it up, and then I put the Springer on and sort of got it where I was happy with it. And then you like cut out, what I did was cut out the stock neck, and then it was super hillbilly. I put the Springer on it and like set it down on the ground, and I have like a mini Bobcat because it's pretty hard to heat it up and bend it yourself. So I put weight on the top with the mini Bobcat and heat it up till it just went and then I was like, perfect.
Oh my god.
So then I did that and I threw it in the jig and then I closed everything up, and then it had the hardtail section that was on it was like laser cut axle plates, and I guess some guys do it where you like cut it at the swing arm and then you sort of butt weld it and gusset it. So I cut that out and then kind of built the tranny section that way. So
were you, before you got into bikes and everything, did you have a background in fabrication, or has this came with the territory?
I taught myself to weld on the first bike I built. Yeah.
Oh my god.
My first bike was pretty shady, but it worked.
Yeah.
So, kind of.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude.
And how'd you think of the double country bar? That is super pimp. I've never seen that before.
Oh, really?
Not that I could think of.
I actually stole that from my homie Brian. He was like building a pretty cool frame for a little while, and he did that. So I wanted to draw a lot of inspiration from like the performance bike thing on this bike, but do it in a long bike. Kind of like pretty inspired by Dick Allen. When I like started building it, I was reading a lot about him, and he came up with like, I didn't know this at the time, but he like invented disc brakes, belt drive, 2-into-1.
Oh yeah.
The first guy to run 12 spoke, or like maybe not the first, but like one of the guys that was like machining 12 spokes to run them.
Yeah, like the American race, like the magnesium ones and stuff.
So I drew a lot of inspiration from that. So I wanted to do something that was like really performance oriented, but still like a self-made long bike.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do a frame that was like kind of drag inspired. So that's why I did like the supports in the rear legs and then the double country bar from that inspiration.
Yeah, and then
I stole that idea from my homie Brian.
Okay.
I take credit for it.
Yeah, it looks great though. And initially you were a little bit longer.
Yeah, I had a 25 over on it, and then I had like tracker bars in it, and that was one thing when I built it. I was like, I couldn't really get the bars how I wanted them. So I did these like tracker bars, and it was pretty cool. But there was a few angles. They were just like a little bit too wide. It looked like a little bit. It just looked weird. It just looked off.
Yeah. And
then I bought this springer. I bought from Eric this fall to build like a different cone shovel, and then I had this like super tweaked frame I got from a swap for like $300, and I thought it was straight by eye. So I started like putting it together, and just nothing was lining up.
Oh my goodness!
So then I just decided to throw this springer on this bike, and I sold my longer one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And did you make this oil bag?
No, my homie Eli made that. Or wait, this the oil bag or the reserve?
Oh, the oil bag.
The oil bag. No, I think that's like a AWE or something.
Oh, okay. I love the oil bags that have the filter inside of them, and I think that just adds another layer to like the overall performance like vibe of the bike.
Yeah.
Which is really rad.
Yeah, that was one I was stoked on. I forget where I got that. I think that was just a swap meet find or something. But
and then you had to get a little custom on the pipe, right?
Yeah, the pipe, I bought the pipe as it was like a stock Super Glide one that goes around the nose cone.
Yeah.
And I was going to run it. They had like a weird, they like come up the tranny and they like sort of step up and they look kind of goofy. It was just straight. So I was going to just build it with the upsweep, and then I found this mag for like a pretty fair price on Marketplace.
Sick.
So I caught the mag, and then the pipe wasn't going to work. So then I decided to do it this way. And then it was just like a snowball thing. I decided to build it this way and still run mids. So I had to modify like Super Glide mids and then sort of build the pipe to fit around it. So it turned out good. It's like it is a little bit tight. I had to pull them back. So my right leg's a little bit far back. But it works really good. So
rad. And then that the dual PM, the brackets from Al.
Yeah.
And then you just bought both the brakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one was on the bike when I got it, and the other one just is like chopper swapper.
Cool.
I had to rebuild it, but it works. So.
And then Eli made the reserve fuel tank.
Yeah.
How many gallons does it hold?
I think the bike holds like just shy of 3 gallons total.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it's good. The motor kind of drinks a bit, so I think I did 75 miles on the ride out, but we were ripping, so it could probably do a little more.
And how big's the motor?
The motor's a 93.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the motor's kind of a funny story. We got it. My homie Corey bought it in this like Survivor. It was like an 80s bad boy dad bike Survivor. It had like the baddest split tanks ever, like Shovelhead split tanks with the David Mann painting of the horse running. With like there's like the
Ghost Rider. Yeah.
So it was like this Survivor. It had like it was just aftermarket frame, like these cool tanks, and then this old guy had spent like a bunch of money on the motor back in the day, or on the whole bike. But anyway, he bought it, and then he built a chopper out of it and rode it for a while, and then he was getting rid of it, and I bought it off him, and then that's how this all started.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I bought it off him because I was looking for a big motor, and it had like already polished cases, like aftermarket STD, and they were already polished, so that was a win.
And then, what's the story with this petcock? It's very heavy duty.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the first things I noticed when I saw you, like, pull up on the bike and shut the fuel off.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, so the action of that just feels like a jet plane or something.
That's another thing, actually, I stole. Well, like, my homie Brian got into those, like, a little bit before I built this bike. So I got the idea from him as well. But they're Pingle for like drag bikes.
Oh, okay.
So that one has like the orange knob, which means it's like certified for nitro.
Oh, sick.
So it's like a nitro drag bike thing. It's super overkill, but I wanted to run AN lines on everything on this thing. So the sick thing about those is you can get an AN fitting for it. So I have AN fuel lines and then AN oil lines and everything.
Oh, okay. And what is AN like?
It's just like a
It's like a thread pitch, like
yeah,
an NPT. Oh, okay.
exactly.
I was when you said AN, I was like, Do I pretend I know what he's talking about, or do I just ask?
Yeah, no, it's just like a different thread pitch they have. Like you can see here, they just thread on really easy.
Okay.
Easy, like super easy to take apart.
Yeah.
Oh, I got the hiccups.
That's nice, because I feel like the NPT is always like a bitch, like finding the right petcocks, and like I feel like for whatever tank I have to go to the hardware store like so many times to find the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Red, and tell me about these pushrod covers. I don't know anything about them.
They're called Sumacs. Dude, yeah, super bummer pickups. They're called Sumacs. So, I saw those on Chopper Swap or on someone's Instagram, and then hit the dude up. I was like, yo, I need those. They were like still in. He had like one out of the newspaper wrapping, and 3 were like still in the wrapping from the 90s. So I hit this dude up, and he was like, no, they're gone. Sorry, dude. So whatever. And then went to Brian's again. So Brian's just like kind of one of the only other dudes in Saskatoon where I'm from.
Yeah.
Choppers, so he's like kind of chopper dad. He like really helped me out of my first bike, and he's like kind of been like a big help with all the bikes I built.
Yeah.
So anyway, he had him in the garage, and I was bugging him about him for a while, and then he like when the bike was done, he came and looked at it and was like, I think he was just kind of, this thing's pretty bad, and that sounded really like a dick, but he really dug it, and he was like, okay, dude, I'll give you the pushrod tubes, but we got a trade for, I had like a NOS hydraulic kicker cover.
Okay.
So he's like, I'll trade you for your kicker cover, and I wasn't using it anytime soon, so we did the trade, and I dig them. Kind of sick.
What do they thread instead of like pop?
Yeah.
Is that the difference between them?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're actually like, they really suck to use. The stock ones are way easier. And I had some issues with this motor right when I got it together a little while ago, and I had them like on and off like 4 times.
Oh my god.
And it kind of wrecked the blue anodizing, which was a bummer.
I mean, it looks good. I haven't noticed the anodizing being wrecked, and I've stared at this bike a lot, so.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I guess, you build your own bike, or like you always can pick out like the things you don't like on your bike.
Yeah.
But no, I dig them. They're cool.
Dude, side note, completely off topic story.
Yeah.
So at Born Free this year, you know, Brian brought both of his bikes.
Mm-hmm.
So his cone shovel, was it a cone or a generator?
Yeah, the cone.
The cone.
The one with the 12 spoke?
Yeah. So I went to Born Free. I wasn't even going to go Sunday, but I had to go to pick up a bike in my truck, or like I had to go for some reason.
Yeah.
And then I somehow wound up riding that bike back here.
No way.
Like by myself. And I got pulled over.
No.
For like no mirrors or no blinkers. Like some like
Really?
absurd reason I got pulled over.
Damn.
And the cop pulled me over, and I just got off the bike, and I was like, hey dude, there's a motorcycle show down the street that I'm sure you're aware of. Like, one of my homies built a bike like for that show, and also he brought this one so he could like ride it around. It's not the show bike, and for some reason we have more bikes than people or whatever, so I have to just ride this back. Like, I don't know what it's titled as. I don't know anything. Like, I don't know what this license plate means.
No way, dude.
And he was just like, I'm not going to ruin your day, dude. Just get home. And I was like by myself, like didn't know anything about this bike. And I had actually just met Brian like an hour before that, like at Born Free. Like we had been internet friends for a long time. But like,
so bad.
He's just like, hey, what's up, Tyler? Like, and then a couple minutes later, I got wounded up. Like, it was like, hey, I don't know who asked me, like Eric or Lee or like someone, whatever. But yeah, I always thought that was funny. I like took a photo of it, of the cop like pulling me over. I was just like, oh my god.
Probably like, have you ever been pulled over by cops on your choppers here before?
Not on my panhead ever. I've been pulled over like on my Sportster, like out in the desert for like passing a car on the double yellow.
Oh yeah.
And then I just got like, I forget what the ticket was, but it was like $400 or something. But that was like 6 or 7 years ago. I haven't been pulled over in a long time though, so I was like, oh man.
Like, dude.
Like I have this bike from Canada, like no registration.
You it ends up being impounded or something.
Dude.
The cops ready to just give you a bad time.
But that bike was awesome. It felt incredible. Like, I was trying not to rip it too hard because it's like someone I don't know very well's like bike, but I was like, I opened it up a little bit. The thing is really rad.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite bikes. It's sick.
Yeah, so I could definitely see, like, after getting to know you and then seeing like Brian's style, I could see how that kind of bleeds into like this bike, you know. And I think, like, I mean, dude, I've been pretty straightforward that this is like my favorite motorcycle that was built in 2023. Like, this is literally, if I could like choose, like, you could have any chopper you've seen, like, this would be the bike I would take and run.
Dude, yeah, I do really appreciate that.
I mean, it's cool. It like, I feel like you did such an incredible job. Like, it feels like a David Mann painting or something. Like, I just love, like, I don't know, watching you ride it. You did a really, really great job. Like, I was looking at like the metal finishing right here.
Thanks,
and like, I mean, I don't know how to do any of that, but I did some Bondo last year. And I can imagine this is way harder. So,
dude, I hate metal finishing so much. I just don't have the patience for it.
Yeah.
There's like the guys that are like psychos and spend like 1 million hours on frames. And it's like, I like using Bondo more. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But yeah, it was fun to challenge myself on this one and try and make some nice stuff.
Yeah, do you feel like more confident in your like fab skills after this? Like,
I think so.
I mean, there's not really like anything you can't do, right?
Yeah. Like, well, I feel like if you just like set your mind to it, you can figure it out, right?
Yeah.
It definitely took me a long time of building like kind of not great stuff. But I think we were talking about this the other day about you like start building a bike and you get too excited that you just like cut a couple corners, or you know what I mean? Or,
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that was our exact words, but I've done that a lot in the past where you just like, you know, skip a step here and there because you just want to see it done. So I really challenge myself on this one to just like see every process through. And like, I guess often what I would do is like you like tack up the sissy bar, put it on, it's like, okay, it's done, and then skip to the next thing and you like haven't finished welded or like anything, and then you end up like in a rush down the road, and then you like, you know, just get lazy. And so on this bike I really tried to just like do the frame, get the frame really nice, and then like sissy bar, get the sissy bar nice, okay, motor and train, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it definitely paid off. Like, it was it's more like patience than anything is like what gets you a better final product.
Totally.
That's what I found.
All right, I feel like we should do our due diligence and just go through like the technical aspects back to front real quick. So Elias made the fuel can. Al,
rotor brackets from Al.
It's a 5-inch trailer fender.
Yeah, 5-inch trailer fender. 2-in-1. I built the wassail. It's like a lowbrow wassail that I narrowed about a 1/2 inch, and then did the Hap Jones cap on the right, because the Hap Jones are like a little bit skinnier and a little bit longer than a wassail. So I just narrowed it just ever so slightly to get it close.
Yeah. And the placement is like, I feel like intentionally super far back.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
On like Dick Allen's Locomotion, his bike is like that, or it's like all the way back and like cranked up a bunch. So I obviously drew a lot of inspiration from that bike as well. So that was more or less it. I actually wanted to do a Sportster tank originally, but I really wanted kind of the weird proportions of the tank so far back. And with a sporty tank, they're like still kind of close to the bars, and it looks a little weird in my opinion. So then I ended up doing the wassail, and yeah, I just really like the weird proportions and the way that Locomotion is, how it sits like that. So, and with it like kind of cranked up, you can almost get more fuel out of it because it fills. You can almost fill it like totally full.
Yeah.
So it's practical and looks cool, sort of.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome.
Yeah.
And then centerline rear wheel.
Yeah, centerline rear, just a 16.
Speedmaster on the back.
Yeah, I think so.
The MK2.
Yep, MK2 on it.
And then you can't see it from this side, but I'll put clips in. What's up with this primary setup is super cool.
The primary is so it's a stock Shovelhead inner that was shaved, just like had the electric start shaved off. So there was like an old, I think he was Hell's Angels in Vancouver in like the 80s and 90s. His name was Gus, and he had a shop. He was like kind of like a Canadian legend, and he would do those shaved primaries and then like kind of high shotguns. It's like a really did you see there's like that bike I had just finished building the other day that was on my Instagram?
Yeah.
Those pipes, those are Gus pipes.
Okay, cool.
So he had like a really distinct style, and those were like two things that would define it. So that's a Gus inner primary, and then the outer is just a piece of like flat aluminum that I cut to fit.
Sick.
So yeah, I dig it. It looks fast, I think.
It looks fast as hell. And it is fast as hell. I wrote it. Did you make the shifter with the chains?
Yeah, I mean,
nice and tough.
Yeah.
We talked about the oil bag already. Just a Lee pedal for the clutch.
Yeah, Lee pedal.
It's kind of like the end all be all, right? I mean, they kind of just work on every bike.
Dude, honestly, yeah, you can't go wrong with it.
It's
really
like you're on it's like a performance cone shovelhead or like an early knucklehead. It just looks good.
Just works. Yeah. Yeah, they're my favorite pedal too. Like as far as comfortability wise, I really dig them. Jeff BNC Cycles built that seat. I told him I wanted just like a small, like narrow, really bad hand lace seat, and sort of just let him run with it. So he whipped that up. It's super rad. It's like surprisingly comfortable for how hard it is.
Yeah. Well, and they break in too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like really small seats.
And then you did the paint and the pinstriping besides the Wizard.
Yeah. Yeah. The striping's I'm learning still, so it's but it's cool enough. Works. Whatever. Yeah.
Rad. And then we've talked about you got the 18 up front, and then Eric did the Springer and the bars.
Yeah. This Springer's 18 over, 24 and a half. Yeah, it works great, dude. Shout out Eric, good Springer.
And then that's an FNA headlight, right? Like one of those.
Yeah.
Dude, those are so nice.
Dude, yeah, I kind of balled out on that. Usually I don't buy expensive stuff, but I had to.
Yeah. Sick, dude. Well, thank you. I'm so stoked to I mean, I can't talk enough about how much I love this bike, so I'm really glad we got to chat.
Yeah, thanks so much, dude.
Cool, dude.
Glad to talk.
Thank you. Sick.
Hell yeah.